This video touches on faith and religion, and so if you don't want to watch it, please move on and I won't be offended at all. But as you know, many of you have been struggling very much with faith. But something's happened since my talk with Simon, and also with listening to the Happy-Go-Lucky Piper. So this, in a sense, is a VR to them, and I will mark it as such. One of my favourite poems has this verse in it. There is in God, some say, a deep but dazzling darkness. As men here say, it is late and dusky, because they see not all clear. Oh, for that night, where I and him might live invisible and dim. For a long time I've been walking in darkness. The sense that I had of God has been very dim, almost not there at all. And my anger at the way I've been treated by the church and by organised religions has been very strong. But I heard this poem sung on a CD called And I Shall Be Thy Music. It's poems of the metaphysical poets set to a harpsichord. And that last verse has been going round and round in my mind for many days and for a long time. And I think I'm becoming aware that I'm not called to belong to any established religion, that I'm called almost to be a wanderer, wandering in the darkness, almost like a hermit, I suppose, or an anchorite who has no contact with others except to receive communion and to receive food and that kind of thing. I'm becoming aware that the darkness that I've been experiencing might be that deep but dazzling darkness of God. I used to like a book called Cloud of Unknowing that talked about God being in a cloud of unknowing. The more we knew about God, the less we actually knew, and that eventually we come to that point where we realise that God is unknowable, that he lives in that cloud of unknowing. And for me, that deep and dazzling darkness of God. Now, I might be totally deceiving myself. I do quite often. But it seems to me that that's where I am at the moment. That I'm called to walk in that deep and dazzling darkness. That's what I hold on to. That's what I receive sustenance from and growth, and that's the darkness that I will persevere with. No longer feeling that there is no God. I don't know that answer, but I know that where before I saw and felt God within me, I now find that darkness, that deep and dazzling darkness. And I wanted just to post this to Simon and to the happy-go-lucky piper to see what they thought, to see what their understanding is, to maybe correct me if they feel that I'm mistaken, that I'm wrong, because I believe that they are both spiritual men. I was going to try and get the happy-go-lucky piper's address so that I could actually write to him, but I think on balance at the moment it's probably best that I approach this through a video. Whereas before I felt the power of God, the majesty of God, the working of God through me and within me. That no longer is so. I know God seems to use me because people call me spiritual. But I am more than comfortable at the moment in this dark place, this deep and dazzling darkness. It's not a frightening darkness. It's not a feeling of neglect or of my being in any way cut off or afraid. It's something that I'm aware of deep down. It's something that I can't describe, that I certainly can't know is God, but it seems in some way to feed me. I love the metaphysical poets. I think even though they're linked with Christianity, they have a remarkable way of putting things about redemption, forgiveness, and seeking God. The whole poem is an amazing poem, really. I'm going to read it. It's based on John 3:2, and it's by a man called Henry Vaughan. It's called The Night. Through that pure virgin shrine, that sacred veil drawn over thy glorious noon, that men may look and live as glowworms shine and face the moon. Wise Nicodemus saw such light, and's made him know his God by night. Most blessed believer he, who in that land of darkness and blind eyes thy long-expected healing wings could see, when thou didst rise. And what can never more be done, did at midnight speak with the sun. Oh, who will tell me where he found thee at that dead and silent hour? What hallowed solitary ground did bear so rare a flower, within whose sacred leaves did lie the fulness of the Deity? No mercy seat of gold, no dead and dusty cherub nor carved stone, but his own living works did my Lord hold, a lodge alone, where trees and herbs did watch and peep, and wonder while the Jews did sleep. Dear night, this world's defeat, the stop to busy fools, care's check and curb, the day of spirits, my soul's calm retreat, which none disturb. Christ's progress and his prayer time, the hours to which high heaven doth chime. God's silent searching flight, where my Lord's head is filled with dew and all, his locks are wet with the clear drops of night, his still soft call, his knocking time, the soul's dumb watch, when spirits their fair kindred catch. Were all my loud evil days calm and unhaunted as is thy dark tent, whose peace, but by some angel's wing or voice, is seldom rent, then I in heaven all the long year would keep and never wander here, but living where the sun doth all things wake, and where all mix and tire themselves and others, I consent and run to every mire, and by the world's ill-guiding light, ere more than I can do by night. There is in God, some say, a deep but dazzling darkness, as men here say it is late and dusky, because they see not all clear. Oh, for that night, where I in him might live invisible and dim. I know it is basically a Christian poem. I know it comes from a particular tradition, but that's not what attracts me to this poem. As I've said, I'm not called to walk in any organised faith. I believe, maybe, possibly, that I'm called into that deep but dazzling darkness, where I might, in him, might live invisible and dim. Well, that's it. I'd be interested to see what the happy-go-lucky Piper thinks, and what Simon thinks. I don't know, but I'm content to be. And now, if any of you have got this far, I hope I haven't offended anyone by being religious tonight, by talking about God. But may you be richly blessed. May an abundant blessing fall upon you. May healing fall upon you. May you grow in strength. As are your years, so may your strength be. And may your God, whatever you believe, whatever faith you have, or none, always be with you, and never, ever let go of your hand.